PunkTorah Productions. Sponsored by Darshan Yeshiva.
This is Rabbi Patrick, and I want to answer the questions that you didn't ask me. So thank you, Reddit, for being an absolute wellspring of Jewish conversation and a cesspool of This is Rabbi Answers Your High Holidays questions that you didn't ask him. All right, so this question is from Mother Shabubu 1974. What do you typically do on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? Do you guys go to shul all day, make a big dinner? And I guess those are the two options that Mother Shabubu offered up. So maybe you need some more ideas. So I do all of those things. So definitely food, because Judaism is a very gastronomic religion. And I do spend a lot of time in shul. So for me, in my shul life, I'm leading a very small community that's not asking for all-day services and things like that. So I kind of luck out in that regard. I try to divide up my days. So I have a little bit of shul, a little bit of cooking, family, friend time. I like to have private time as well. So I will spend time in meditation, personal prayer. I love hiking on high holidays. I think this is just because it's fall and it's pretty out and everybody loves fall. So that's what I tend to do. Yom Kippur is a different story. I sleep as much as I possibly can because I'm leading so many services that I'm exhausted. Plus, I'm fasting and I'm hungry and thirsty. And so it's pretty much shul nap time, shul nap time, shul nap time, Havdalah, eat. All right, so this question comes from Veggie Tail Princess. Veggie Tales, huh? Okay, so these are Christians maybe asking this question. Okay, Livestream Rosh Hashanah services. Hi. So I was unable to get a ticket for services at my synagogue. Okay, maybe VeggieTales, different VeggieTales, maybe Vegan Tales, who knows? Does anyone know of any live streamed services for Rosh Hashanah? I would appreciate all recommendations. I want to be able to participate and celebrate the best I can currently, college student living away from home/synagogue. All right, well, VeggieTale Princess, although you have a very questionable username, I do want to answer this question. So there's so many options now for live streaming services. There's maybe too many of them. And this is a problem because there's sort of indecision and things like that. Honestly, Rabbi Google is your best option there. What I like to do is go on YouTube and start typing in, live streaming Rosh Hashanah, live streaming Yom Kippur, find previous iterations of the high holidays and see what other people have done. And if you liked one thing, you'll probably like something else. Then just go on the synagogue's website, see if you can find some information about it. So kind of plan a little bit in advance. Also, the thing about it too is if you don't really care about the interactivity, just go and find something on YouTube that you like. That's perfectly fine too. My other option that I like, which isn't quite live streaming services, I like to go on Spotify, and even back on YouTube. And I like to find music that's themed to the holiday. So there's all these people that make like Rosh Hashanah playlists, Shabbat playlists, things like that. And I like to have that music kind of in the background all the time during holidays. Okay, so this is Out for God. And this is actually in a Reddit called True Christian. So I thought this was going to be really interesting. Feast of Trumpets / Rosh Hashanah. Has anyone done a study on the Feast of Trumpets? But if so, what have you found? What connections have you found throughout the Bible? Would do like about it? Any videos or lessons that you have watched? Also, if you celebrate it, how do you or your family celebrate it? Thank you for all your responses. God bless and shalom. Well, God bless and shalom to you, Out for God. So what you're asking about, a version of this is, why don't you find Rosh Hashanah in the Bible? Why do you find these other names for the holiday? Well, that's because Rosh Hashanah doesn't exist in the Bible. In ancient Judaism, the practice was that the springtime was the beginning of the year, and it makes sense for an earth-based religion. So you think about the cold, dead earth, everything has gone into seclusion, and then everything bursts into new life, new year. It isn't until the Babylonian expulsion and Jewish sort of engagement with the Babylonian calendar cycle, things like that, that you get Rosh Hashanah. An interesting thing about Rosh Hashanah is that it has a cultural connection to this Babylonian New Year, where they would crown the king. Well, who is our king? God is our king. And so that's why we have that as part of Rosh Hashanah. So that's why it's not in the Bible. And if you're interested in learning more, hey, we've got several different organizations under our great big banner that would be happy to help you. And good question there, Out for God. Okay, so back to the Reddit for Judaism. This is from Nimozion. This is Kabad Rosh Hashanah versus Reform Hashanah. Okay, they wrote Chabad, but it's Chabad, I think is what they're trying to say. All right, so the question is, I am going to Rosh Hashanah services this year for the first time as an adult. Awesome, good for you. And for the first time, intentionally going. I like that. Someone was dragging you the rest of the time. I have the option of going to a local Chabad house tonight for Erev Rosh Hashanah or Reform. So I'm guessing that means Reform Synagogue. What might I expect from each? My wife's family, oh boy, this is where it gets fun, is actually members of the Reform congregation, but I don't know how much I like the campfire kumbaya vibes of the Reform services. We live in a small, pretty liberal Western town. I'm still learning a lot about the prayers and Yiddishkeit in general, and was thinking maybe Chabad might be a good fit. Any thoughts? Shabbat Shalom and Lashana Tova. Okay, I liked the thing about the wife's family. And okay, so backing up a little bit. So Chabad is a particular sort of philosophy of Orthodox Judaism. Reform is Reform Judaism. That's what's being talked about here. And which do you go to? So my answer is go to both. I've done that myself. I lived in one of these small liberal communities when I lived in Georgia, and those were two options that were available. There was a Chabad that was on campus, and there was also the larger classical Reform synagogue, and I went to both. And I enjoyed both for different reasons. You're saying you don't really care for the campfire / kumbaya vibes. Okay, yes, then Chabad's going to be very different. I promise you, there will be something you don't like about Chabad either. This reminds me of an old joke. A Jew is stranded on a deserted island, completely void of people, and he's there for years. And then suddenly the Marine helicopter comes. He's about to be rescued, touches down. The Marines show up. They see this man, and they notice something interesting. He's built a city. And they said, why did you build a city? He said, well, I'm deserted here and I needed something to do, so I built a city. And they said, well, can you give us a tour of your empty city? Sure. They go on a tour and they see this one road where it has two synagogues, one on one side, one on the other. One is Reform, one is Orthodox. And they say to the man, well, why did you build two synagogues? Like, you're one Jew. Why have more than one? And he said, well, it's very simple. This one is the one that I would never go to, and this is the one that I would never set foot in. You know, it's an old joke, but it's kind of true, because there's things you're going to like and there's things you're not going to like. Think of it this way. You may not like that Reform synagogue, but I bet you like your wife. And so you'll enjoy going there with her and having that family experience. If you go to Chabad, maybe on your own, you might enjoy sort of what you call the Yiddishkeit, or a sense of that particular focus in Judaism. And you might feel a little bit lonely at the same time because your family's not with you. So best wishes. And yeah, Shabbat Shalom if it's Shabbat for you. And Lashana Tova, definitely. Okay, this is from One Man Army. Shana Tova. Hope I used that correctly. You did. Good job, One Man Army. I am a curious outsider. I understand that it is the celebration for the Jewish New Year, but there are also other ties. What is the most important aspect of Rosh Hashanah to you, and why? The most important thing to me is that Rosh Hashanah is the sweet lead up, quite literally, to Yom Kippur. So I think of this as kind of the last hurrah before I have to really think about my sins. Also, this prior to Rosh Hashanah, you have Elul. So this is a month of reflection. So all of this really, Rosh Hashanah and then Yom Kippur, is really about that internal cheshbon hanefesh, that accounting of the soul. And being prepared for Yom Kippur, because that's really the big thing. Rosh Hashanah, it's the buffet before you go on the diet. Okay, this is in a Reddit called Baby-Led Weaning. I have no idea. I think I know what that's about. And this is from a user who is now deleted. So, honey alternative for Rosh Hashanah, dealing with a 7-month-old. The high holidays are approaching, and I'm trying to plan out how to best include my baby in our tradition. That's wonderful. I love it. I'm planning to give cooked half apples, but I don't know what sweet thing to give with the apples in place of honey. I know straight sugar isn't great before 2, but it's a once a year thing that I would like to make as close to the real tradition of apples and honey as possible. What could I give him? So this sounds like medical advice, and so I'm probably not the right person to give medical advice, but I will give you an alternative to honey that actually is closer to honey. So this is Iraqi date syrup. So when the Bible talks about the land of milk and honey, it's not talking about honey like bee honey. It's actually talking about these syrups. And so there's date syrup, which, like I said, is very popular in Iraq. So you can find it called date syrup, called other things, depending on if you're in an ethnic grocery store or a conventional grocery store. And then there's all the other variations on that. So there's like pomegranate syrup, cherry syrup, all of that stuff. If you don't have those syrups at home, you can make it. So you can make pomegranate syrup easily. So it's equal parts pomegranate juice and, unfortunately, white sugar. You could also use brown sugar, although the texture is going to be a little bit different. But this is especially true with vegans as well, using agave nectar. So if you don't want to eat honey because you're allergic to it, or perhaps for vegetarian, vegan reasons, date syrup is great. And agave syrup is wonderful as well. Plus, with the agave syrup, you can make a margarita. Okay, so this is from H. Kuhn. I hope I'm saying that right. What is an appropriate hostess gift to bring to Rosh Hashanah? Hi, all. Hi, H. Kuhn. Hi, H. Kuhn. I've never been a part of a traditional Jewish events or holidays. I am ethnically Jewish, but was not raised Jewish. Well, hey, good for you for coming back. We appreciate you. And I was recently invited to a Rosh Hashanah dinner for the first time! Exclamation point. Awesome. I find myself wondering what an appropriate gift to bring for the host would be. Would a gift basket of local artisan honeys be appropriate? I was also considering bringing sparkling apple pomegranate juice for their young kids, ? Both products are certified kosher, though I'm not sure if the family does indeed keep kosher. If not these, what do you suggest? I desperately do not want to offend. Desperately. Okay, well, this was 2 years ago, so hopefully it all worked out. What would I bring? So the first thing I would do is I would ask. In fact, I would demand that I'm going to bring something. You don't know, like you said, like kosher, you don't know if there's allergies that you have to deal with, especially if you're bringing food type things. Maybe you bring flowers, something like that. Maybe you bring a box of candles, right, for lighting candles. But the best thing to do is to ask. If you must surprise people, then something that is not a food or consumable, I think, is definitely the way to go. Think of it as any other party. Like, what would you bring as a host or hostess gift to something else? Find out what they like, right? So maybe a great hostess gift for one person is, a little set of scented candles that are fall themed. Maybe for another person that's terrible because they hate fragrances. So yeah, just treat it like any other party. And generally speaking, unless you know what their kosher and allergen and dietary restrictions beyond that are, yeah, stay away from consumables. Okay, this question comes from not Jessa Blessa. However, I think that producer Kaylee might have something to do with this. Rosh Hashanah themed names for rescued kittens. Okay, here we go. So I hope pet name requests are allowed in the Reddit is called Jewish names. But if not, the mods can feel free to remove, and they didn't because this was a year ago. We rescued 2 kittens on Rosh Hashanah, 1 boy and 1 girl, and are struggling to find holiday-themed names for them. The girl is light orange in color, so we are thinking honey. And for the boy, apple. Makes the most sense as it's a match, but he's not really green, LOL, or red in color, but he is darker in color, brownish. This is a very deep description of the color of these cats. This is how you know these are cat people. And also, if you look at the names in Hebrew, they aren't rolling off the tongue. Anyone have any other Rosh Hashanah themed names that might be fun or cute for kittens? So, not Jessa Blessa, thank you for rescuing cats. That's very nice. Listen, shofar, I think would be great. Like if there's a cat that's like noisy and difficult, shofar. Let's see, gosh, what else? Apple and honey are fantastic. If you want to go Yom Kippur themed, you could do hate, which is the word for sin, because we all know that cats don't have souls. So that's a possibility. Also, Azazel, which is the name of a demon that on Yom Kippur we put our sins on a goat and send it off to Azazel or Azazel. So if you have a cat that's particularly difficult, Azazel would be a good one. More a Yom Kippur theme. Also, sweet foods that you eat other than apples and honey. I think kugel would be a fantastic name for a kitten. Sweet kugel is very delicious. So yeah, I think, ChatGPT can probably help with this greatly. Okay, so these next few are just rapid fire, so here we go. This is Judaism, deleted name. I was looking for Rosh Hashanah decorations and found some very confused Jews. Yeah, this is extremely strange. What we have here is a family that is celebrating Passover, and then there's like Rosh Hashanah decorations on top of them. Yeah, that makes no sense. All right, next one. This one's found in Judaism as too loud, turn it down. I like that as a parent of a teenager. Too loud, turn it down. So I've been working on this in my printmaking class, and we'll get this on a poster by the end of the week. Backstory, I am a convert. Mazel tov, thank you for joining the Jewish people. And also Mexican-American. I loved combining my two cultures together over the past several years. This time of year is especially perfect for the holidays, usually line up with Mexican Independence Day, Hispanic Heritage Month, that's cool, and Day of the Dead. Okay, cool. There's a lot of similar themes as well for all of these holidays, and I've always been in awe of how well, to me, they fit together. Anyways, I wanted to share this with y'all. Okay, this is very cool. I think the only thing, and this is just an aesthetic thing, is that for a lot of Jews, any displays of anything death-oriented is not celebratory. So having like the Dia de los Muertos stuff kind of mixed in with that might be aesthetically challenging to traditional Jews. But hey, I'm glad that you're bringing your culture in. The Jewish people are made better because of you. Okay, this is in the Reddit makeup addiction, and this is Roseo Syria. Some glowy makeup for grandma's Rosh Hashanah dinner. Looks great to me. I know nothing about aesthetics because look at what you get. But good job, and I hope that Bubby liked it. All right, here we go. This is a food question in Jewish from Rum Tiger. Bewildering and confounding Rosh Hashanah dilemma. Please help. Here we go. So in my whole entire 60 plus years, I've been Jewish. I've only ever seen one person serve taglach. In fact, I've described it to many Reform American Jewish friends, and nobody's ever heard of it unless I'm just the worst explainer ever, which is probably not, since I'm a teacher and a really good one. So anyhow, my grandma was the only one to ever make it. I hated it. It was hard as a rock. And when I was little, I didn't like the taste of honey, and it was so sticky, I couldn't stand getting it all over my hands. But it was so unusual and sweet, and grandma was the only one who ever made it, so I loved it, and I wanted to make it every year. Well, I haven't had it. Okay, this is really long. At the end of the day, this person wants to know whether or not to buy this particular dish because it's $23 effing dollars and shipping and blah, blah, blah. This was a year ago, so 60 plus year old Jewish friend Rum Tiger. There's a lot of cool stuff now that you can order online. And if it's meaningful to you and it doesn't hurt your budget, buy it already. Okay, last one. This one is found in perfumes. This is from Sadie's Mother Clucker. All right, Rosh Hashanah inspired perfume combination. The Jewish New Year started today, and apples and honey are a traditional food combination to celebrate a sweet new year. I took inspiration and wore Zoologist B, a thick, rich, photorealistic honey to my nose, and Kaylee Eden Juicy Apple, a sweet fruity floral. My husband thought I smelled exactly like apples coated in honey. As it dried down, has anyone else here taken literal interpretations of honey traditions and worn them as a fragrance before? It's not a combination I would have worn otherwise, but I really enjoyed it. I have one fragrance. It's called Rabbi Patrick. Deodorant, and that's it. So I'm the worst possible person to give any thoughts on this, but I wanted to end on this one because don't you just love how all of these people are taking Jewish spirituality, culture, identity, and making it their own, whether it's perfume, food, art, etc., etc., etc. I think that's pretty cool. So wishing all of you a Shana Tova, a happy new year, and yeah, let's keep co-creating this amazing thing called Judaism together.